Elon Musk recently tweeted that Tesla could be worth more than both Apple and Aramco combined over the next 5 years, pending exceptional execution. This was a tweet from just a few hours ago. For context, Apple has a market cap of over $3 trillion. If you look at Saudi Aramco, they have a valuation, a public valuation of around $2 trillion. So this is leading oil producer and leading iPhone producer for a combined $5 trillion market cap that he believes Tesla could be worth more than that within 5 years. For context, Tesla currently has an $800 to $900 billion market cap. And so even if his timeline is aggressive, and a lot of folks know that he can be very aggressive on, let's say, full self-driving, it still hasn't happened, but he can be aggressive. Even if he's off by, let's say, 5 years, and he achieves this metric, this $5 trillion in 10 years, that's still a 20% annualized return for Tesla shareholders. So still a fantastic return from here if he's able to achieve it. So that's the big question of how can he achieve it? So in this video, I'm going to walk through my own personal sort of thought experiment over how does Elon Musk get to this? Because he's not, he has achieved immense, incredible things. And I'm currently loving reading the Walter Isaacson biography, which I'd highly recommend to anyone that's interested in a deeper dive. And, so how is Elon Musk getting to a $5 trillion market cap valuation? So I'm going to do a thought experiment in this video to sort of how do you get there, as well as my own personal take towards the end of this video. If you enjoy educational investment videos, you're watching Unrivaled Investing, please make a point of hitting that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. So I go to AI Ticker Chat, leveraging artificial intelligence. See the link below. The first month is free if you use the code below. And so I want to, once again, do this thought experiment. How do you get to a $5 trillion market cap? So I go list the key new products and markets that could help make Tesla a $5 trillion company in the future. I want to highlight all the conference calls, both the earnings calls and special events like Analyst Investor Day, shareholder calls, Climate Week, Cybertruck launch. I want to highlight all these different things, and I want to have AI look at these to give me an answer to this key question of how do you get to $5 trillion? And it lists it out. This is once again using AI Ticker Chat and GPT-4. And it's saying, look, autonomous vehicles, talk about full self-driving, energy storage, Cybertruck and Semi. They just launched Cybertruck. Solar energy, talking about solar roof, expansion into new geographies, such as in India. And it continued where, it talked about software and services like full self-driving, battery technology continuing to improve, as well as AI and robotics, talking about their Dojo supercomputer, as well as Optimus humanoid robots. So there's a lot of coals in the fire, but I want to dive deeper to think about, okay, how could you actually assign value to get to $5 trillion? So this is a thought experiment. Let's keep going in terms of thinking about it. How do you get to this $5 trillion? First of all, in full disclosure, this is not financial advice. Also, a quick plug, take charge of your investment journey with unrivaledinvesting.com for compelling investment ideas, real-time portfolio updates, and our exclusive Discord server available for premium annual subscribers. The rate for the premium annual subscription is going up in just a few hours, so now's the time to lock it in. Looking at Apple, $3 trillion market cap company, it trades around 30 to 35 times earnings. So if you were to back into a $5 trillion market cap, assuming, let's say, 35 times earnings, that would get to around $140 billion in earnings that Tesla would need to achieve. Personally, I look at this Cybertruck and I think it looks pretty cool. It does make me think, I wonder if I want to get something like that because it looks pretty epic. So where do you get to $140 billion in earnings, and how does it compare to their current earnings? Well, let's first start with the fact that they have been rapidly taking market share over time. And as I've called out before, this is one of the key things I look for in any of the unrivaled companies that I'm personally looking to invest in, is I want to see a company that's proven that they're taking market share. Because if you're doing that on a profitable basis, it suggests you might have something that's special that gives you the right to win. And when I look at them, They're clearly taking market share, and it's still a relatively low percentage of the markets that they operate in. So if you get to 3-4% currently and get to maybe 15%, 20% in the future, that would require continued market share gains, but it could suggest a lot more expansion. So thinking about their existing energy and auto businesses, taking continued significant market share in the years ahead, plus that global expansion like launching in India, maybe it goes from that $10 billion in earnings that you've seen in the last year. And that's down a little bit from the prior year. Just, you have seen some margin compression. If you were to see, around $10 billion now, maybe that gets to $40 billion over time with continued market share capture and continued efficiency, assuming continuing to roll out new products in this vertical, talking about their auto business as well as their energy business. But then if you were to look at additional verticals like semiconductor, the big trucks, the semis, Tesla Semi, that's supposed to come out in the next year or so. It's already being rolled out with Pepsi where they're trying it. Here it is. This could be, using very, hypothetical math, maybe could be a $20 billion market for them over time. Clearly very early stages, but I'm trying to think about, okay, what could this be over time? Maybe a lot more if they're very successful, but very early days. Next is thinking about their full self-driving and robotaxi. Maybe this is worth $30 billion. So, you could see the different pieces, their existing auto business, $40 billion. Maybe the semi space gets to, 10, 20 billion, maybe robotaxi, full self-driving, that's another $30 billion in earnings. Truthfully, this is very difficult to estimate as you start thinking about, let's say, robotaxi, it could also cannibalize their existing car sales. That said, between software subscriptions and enabling a much lower cost transportation market, I'm assuming an explosion in demand for robotaxis. If they're able to bring that to market, let's say in the next couple of years. So maybe you do see this explosion to $30 billion in profit, but this requires sort of some Herculean assumptions to get here. There's a lot of uncertainty as you're looking at this. I also love thinking about Optimus. I think, clearly this is one of the things that Elon Musk is very excited about, effectively having these humanoid robots that can be fully functioning, combined with AI. And, if you were to assume that they're at some point, let's say in 10 years from now, selling 5 million units at $40,000 per year, that's around $200 billion in sales. If you were to assume a 25% margin on that, then you get to around $50 billion in earnings on a humanoid robot, if you could do it. So this is not how I traditionally invest. I'm usually saying, okay, what have you actually done? And to be honest, Musk has achieved some just incredible accomplishments, but this requires a lot of imagination. And that's what this is. This is an exercise in imagination. I'll share my personal thoughts, towards the end in terms of how I'm personally thinking about Tesla stock, but trying to think using imagination, how do you get to that $5 trillion market cap that Elon Musk is talking about? It's, I think, these key types of items, where you're saying, hey, this is the promising and optimistic future that one is considering. So when I'm looking at it from my own personal take, once again, I use AI Ticker Chat. AI Ticker Chat has a predict feature that gives you a wide range, of outcomes for Tesla. And my view is largely in line with what AI Ticker Chat is saying here, which is that if you have exceptional execution, let's say over the next 5 years, and you have a full multiple, then you could have significant upside. But if you have anything less than exceptional execution and you have any sort of margin pressure, then you could have a stock drop possibly significantly over the next few years. So it's very possible that you have a stock that's sort of dead for a few years, where it just sort of treads water, doesn't really go and make new highs. And I know a lot of that might be surprising for a lot of folks when the stock was up over 100% this past year, but it is worth reflecting the fundamentals weren't up 100% this past year. You look at the most recent quarter, sales were, low or high single digit growth. That is not super compelling. Growing, you see the deceleration from 80% growth to 8% growth. You see their profits have, previously their profits were exploding by several 100%. Now it's contracting. Their profits are effectively contracting by a huge degree. Their profit margins are declining by a significant degree. And so this is an important element where I look at this and I'm thinking, your stock is up 100%. and the underlying fundamentals are not. They're nowhere near that. And that suggests a big warning. So my key word, if you're going to think about Tesla, is to be cautious and to have some caution here, even though there's a lot of excitement about this $5 trillion market cap, where I look at this and think to myself, the stock wasn't able to make a new high, versus where it was, 2 years ago. And I'm thinking it was up 100% on not amazing fundamentals. And so you need to see right now, in the next 6 months, Wall Street will need to see a reacceleration in revenue growth and a reacceleration in profit margins, I think, in order for Wall Street to say, hey, rah, rah for the stock again. If you do not see that, then I would be very cautious for Tesla shareholders, because the reality is this is an $800-900 billion company for a company with $10 billion in profits, roughly $10-12 billion, ballpark figures. So you need to see dramatic acceleration in terms of profit to get investors going. You need that execution. Personally, I look for, there's different types of investors out there. There's the ones that are saying, hey, like Elon Musk, he clearly likes the drama. He likes the challenges. He likes to chew glass and stare into the future and think about what amazing things he's going to build. That's not personally my nature of thinking about hey, how hard can I make my life? And Warren Buffett would describe it as different investment hurdles. Do you want a 10-foot hurdle that you're jumping over? Or are you more of a lazy investor like Warren Buffett, where you're looking for the 1-foot hurdle? And personally, as I'm looking at things to jump over, I'm thinking about the 1-foot hurdles where the execution's already there and the valuation is much more reasonable. And if you're able to get exceptional execution, you could also get a fantastic return. But if you don't get that exceptional execution, you don't have that risk of falling off a cliff. And that is a huge risk with Tesla, is if you don't get that exceptional execution, then you could be in trouble. And that's the concern. Is it's sort of like a dumbbell where you have these two weights. On one end is you have this optimism about all these things that they're going to build, and an amazing CEO who's just has had incredible execution, being able to deliver. And on the other end, it's well, if you don't deliver, there's a long way down. And so that's why I think it's important for investors to consider this on their own investment journeys. I hope this video has been helpful for you, walking through sort of a hypothetical framework, both in terms of how could the stock do, my own personal take, over the next 5 years, which is that it is possible it does very well, but there's also a chance it's dead money for a few years if they don't get exceptional execution. At the same time, there's a lot of promising stuff that, let's say, over 10 years, thinking about humanoids, humanoid robots, it's really cool and exciting stuff. You're making possible the world of Westworld and stuff like that. And that's clearly something Elon Musk is thinking about in AI. So there's a lot to be excited about here. But it's important to say, hey, what type of investment journey do you want to have? And do you want to have that potential heartburn of, hey, the crazy volatility of, if you don't execute, you can drop a lot. So we'll see. I'd love to hear your comments below. Thanks so much for watching Unrivaled Investing.